Yeah, Hollywood, Hollywood, no looking down. Hollywood now, Hollywood, Hollywood, no looking down. Hollywood now.
Hello, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in for another interview with King Solomon Entertainment. Thank you guys so much. You guys know that we are doing wonderful things. Another great interview on Hollywood Now platform where we interview one-on-one Hollywood stars, insiders, and influencers. We are excited about the interview that we have today. But before we get started, we have to thank our partners. We want to thank hearttoheartforyou.org.com. We want to thank GQAutoConnect.com. ComoMassages.com, and Amanda Rosette therapygroup.org. RosetteTherapyGroup.org. We want to thank her so much for her partnership, and just continue to support what we're doing here. And if you have not subscribed already, now would be a good time to subscribe. We are on most social media platforms: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and also we are on LinkedIn. Definitely subscribe. King Solomon Entertainment Group, King Solomon Entertainment Media Group on Facebook, and King_Solomon_ENT_CO_ on Instagram. All those underscores, right, for Instagram. I see Instagram, they're coming on in. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And if you want to support us directly, that is our Cash App. Everything you do will help further what we're doing here on the King Solomon Entertainment platform as we continue to grow on all platforms. We are so excited. And today, without further ado, really a friend to the show, doing wonderful work. He is the founder of Cinamation Studios, a producer, a director. He worked on with HBO, Spike, the Seth Gordon. He also went to a wonderful film school, Tisch, NYU. Everybody know that. Just found out he went to undergrad at Northwestern in Chicago, my hometown. I'm so excited. Wonderful work that he's doing. And he also worked on a wonderful, great documentary of a legend, really an icon, an activist, Dick Gregory, and the Dick Gregory documentary. We cannot wait to talk about that. And we're so glad to have him on. Once again, welcome Mr. Andre Gaines to the show. Thank you, Andre.
Hey, how's it going? Good to see you.
All right, brother. Thank you so much. We're so excited to have you on and to have you back. And
having me.
Yes, wonderful work that you're doing. When we spoke last time, we talked about the wonderful journey that you have been on so far with telling wonderful narratives and our story, this re-articulation of telling our story from us. And I thought it was very interesting about the material that you were doing, like we spoke last time, and the project that you're working on. And once again, Mr. Gaines, you picked a wonderful, great topic, wonderful, great icon, a legend, activist, comedian, Dick Gregory. Now, please let us know why Dick Gregory, why this story, how did this all come about?
Yeah, well, thank you, first of all, for having me back on. Always good to see you. I think that, it's interesting because that's a question a lot of people have asked me. We've been on this press tour for the last month or so, really leading up to the world premiere at Tribeca, which was on June 19th in New York, which was really fantastic. And then also the release on Showtime on July 4th.
Yes.
That's when it finally came out. And, it started off with Dick Gregory being featured in a doc that we were producing at the time about the new civil rights movement. This was about 2015. And a lot of people have short memories. 2015 looked a lot like 2020. We just didn't have a pandemic. There was a lot of Black Death going on with, we were a year out from Trayvon Martin, a year out from Mike Brown. I think Eric Garner was choked to death that year. So there was a lot happening that resembled what we were going through last year. We just weren't all locked in our houses and kind of forced to pay attention to it that way. And so we flew Dick Gregory out to Los Angeles with the idea of actually making him the centerpiece of this story. And once we started interviewing him, which was over the course of about 4 days, and we announced the project, to the world, there was a response, a very visceral response from comedians in particular, everyone from Judd Apatow and Bill Maher to Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, saying, finally, somebody's making a movie about this guy. And we weren't actually initially making a movie about Dick Gregory. We were making, it was inevitable that it was going to be about Dick Gregory because he was the centerpiece of this larger sort of global story. But it really lit a fire under me to say that, okay, you know, this is something we really should be doing. And the funny thing is when we announced that project, there were about 3 other filmmakers who preceded me over the decades prior to me starting this project that had made attempts to make this film about Dick Gregory, you know, going as far back as the mid 80s, and very prolific, high profile directors, and they weren't able to get it done. And largely they weren't able to do it because of lack of financing. And all of them reached out to me and were very supportive. They're in the special thanks in some regards. Some of them ended up getting producer credits on the film. At the end of the day, we were saying, you know, my company, Cinamation, that's what we do. We finance and produce movies. So I just said, I'll go ahead and finance it myself. And that's what we did up through Showtime, up till the time that Showtime actually purchased it from us. So that was me and my partner, Valerie Edwards. We ended up financing the movie and selling it to them. So that's how it all really came together. And once I really got to meet Dick Gregory and lift up the hood and learn about him, I was just obsessed. I mean, it was like, how could you not be? This man lived literally 10 lives in one. And we'd be lucky if any of us live a 10th of one of those lives. So it was pretty profound.
What was it like meeting Dick Gregory? What was it like? What was the impress that he left on you? What was the feeling? What was the experience like?
Well, I mean, when I met Dick Gregory, he was 80 years old, and he passed away at 84. He was part of the process of the making of this movie from the beginning. And at 80 years old, you know, he was a cantankerous old angry man. You know, he had gone through, if you had gone through what he had gone through, which, to be quite honest, I wasn't aware of the full totality of that when we sat him down in the interview chair. And the same goes for a lot of his colleagues and close friends. You know, it depends on which decade you were part of Dick Gregory's life. You may not, if you were part of his life in the 80s, you may not necessarily know the intricacies of his life in the 70s, you know, or in the 90s, may not know the intricacies of what happened in the 80s. Again, this is all prior to social media. Like right now, we have everything we've done for the last decade, you know, archived on our Instagram or Facebook or Twitter feeds or whatever. So people can kind of go and search through those things and learn a little bit about you if you're not a celebrity or if you're not a major figure in Hollywood or insider or influencer, as you describe it. Any of those types of things, you know, people can look that up. But during that time, he didn't have that. You know, that was something that he goes and he runs across the country. They film it on 8mm, celluloid or 16mm, and unless that ends up on the evening news, nobody ever hears of it. You know, so he was. Now I would say this: when we first started filming him, the confluence of events that were interesting is that literally the day that we filmed Dick Gregory was like the first day that Bill Cosby was indicted on the charges that of which he just left prison for. Yes. So it was, there was already, and this was preceding all of the information we know now about the case and all the women and this, that, and the other. And so there was a lot of frustration in the room, not only with amongst Dick Gregory, but amongst the crew and people just sort of trying to process this. So I think that trying to process it at the same time of sitting down for an interview was a little bit daunting. But then on top of that, he was just a difficult person to interview because he had so much to talk about. It
Yeah.
was almost like his computer was overloaded.
Yeah.
So much, so trying to get to my questions were really difficult thing for, or not difficult thing for him to do as in ability, but I think, emotionally, kind of a difficult thing. That being said, once he, whipped me and with his words and kind of beat me up a little bit, and I stuck with it, and he saw that I wasn't going anywhere. We became very good friends, actually. He
Yeah.
was excited to see me at his shows, went to his shows in LA, went to his shows in Atlanta. We would have breakfast the next morning, went to the premiere of a play that they did about him in New York. He was excited to see me there. So we got to know each other, and I really, really got to know the family, especially his son, Christian, who's in the documentary, and became a huge, huge ally for the process of making this film. So the fascinating things I could take away from sitting and talking with Dick Gregory was, the times I remember very specifically sitting down at breakfast one time when we were in Atlanta, and him coming to the table with a stack of newspapers, a couple of books, and literally reading an article and showing me how to read between the lines, kind of having a razor sharp focus on a word or phrase or turn of phrase, and saying, you see how clever that is? You see what they're saying right there? This is what they mean by that. This is buried in the last page of such and such section where nobody's going to read it. And this has to do with whatever so-called conspiracy theory that's floating around. Here's some validation for the theories that are floating around. So it was fascinating to watch his brain work, really.
Yeah. No, he definitely was a genius. Definitely was well aware, immersed in Black culture and Black concern and the quality of our lives and everything that had to do with that. And so I would ask, why a documentary? Why not a feature film about his life, where you can kind of chronicle his life in the sense of acting it out with characters or whatever? Why documentary instead of?
Well, we plan to do that. Yeah, we plan to do that. I mean, documentaries, I love the medium of docs as much as I love the scripted medium. Most of my content in past projects are narrative scripted films. And I love them both, really. I think especially now, I was sort of part of producing docs and financing docs when they were a bit of the ugly stepchild to a narrative film. But now, if you're not involved in documentary storytelling, you're kind of being left out,
Yes.
Substantially. One of the reasons I wanted to start there was because there was so much to cover, and there were so many voices. It's almost using it as a very entertaining, very well done educational tool or research tool, in a way, for really anything else that you want to do, whether that's a series, whether that's a single film, whether that's a docu-series, whether that's podcasts, whatever it is really taking that opportunity to tell this story in the fullest tapestry possible. When you're writing a script, you really have to choose an agenda. You have to choose an agenda for every film that you make. Don't get me wrong, but specifically when you're staring down a blank white piece of paper on a screen, and you've got to come up with a story, you really have to choose a very, very specific agenda and a very specific point of view, of which means that you're going to leave out an enormous amount of content that you would have otherwise loved to share with people. And the documentary format really provides you the avenue for that.
No, I would think so, because when I seen it and I seen all that it entails, and you think about a person who lived, like you said, 10 lives, like Dick Gregory,
Mm-hmm.
you would need that like prerequisite or that prequel, if you will, to build and to organize and to really see from there where you can go doing the scripted or doing the film in his regard. And you would want to do that because you don't want to leave anything out, or you want to tell a great story in both scenarios. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, so that's what's wonderful. What can people expect watching this documentary about Dick Gregory? What can they walk away from after seeing it?
I think people can get inspired really to do more, to do so much more. I mean, even Dick Gregory, who did everything, felt that he could do more. And this, we're talking about somebody who was part of every major American event since 1959 until the time of his death in 2017. I mean, you know, comedian, activist, health pioneer, icon, legend. This is an extraordinary set of circumstances for one life to have. And that was the genesis, and that was the evolution of Dick Gregory. And he never felt that comedy was going to be his terminus. And because of that, you know, there was a pretty short window between the rise of Dick Gregory and him leaving comedy. It wasn't like he was doing it for a decade or more. And growing up in the 80s, our contemporary comedians like Richard Pryor, like Eddie Murphy, Bill Cosby, of course, with the Cosby Show, you know, they took the leap to go from comedian to actor. And by taking that leap from comedian to actor, that means that they're now part of the, you know, historic filmographies that we look at from our childhood, and also that we look at when we're doing any type of research or a study of the past. We can sort of look at these shows, we can look at these films as to what they did in their representations of Black people over the course of time. Dick Gregory, while all of these comedians were doing that, was busy on the front lines. He was busy running across the country. He was busy marching, literally in the front line, while he was facing down a barrage of cops, heavily armed, you know, cops and militias. He was out there fighting for women's rights. He was out there fighting for Native Americans, which is a whole segment we couldn't get to in the film, of the work that he did with Native Americans. And so that's what I think can be the takeaway, is that look at what this one man did.
Yeah.
You know, this one guy, and what it is that you can do in turn.
Yeah, no, it's amazing because even when you look at his stand-up comedy and he talked, he was captivating, you listen. And even like you said, post that, him be on the front line and him galvanizing a lot of issues, bringing attention to a lot of issues because of his recognition. And whenever he was anywhere, you listen to Dick Gregory. That's how captivating he was. That's how well informed and well read he was. And everybody knew about the newspapers he would carry around, and how he was a avid reader, aggressive reader. And he just was a person who had a lot of valuable knowledge. And so we definitely felt it when we lost him, because, you know, we're losing wonderful people like that, that really, you know, continue to galvanize us and inspire us, and to say we can do more, and it's a lot more still to be done. And so it's amazing that you would pick such a figure like that. I knew it would be challenging. Just wanted to hear from you, what were some of those challenges in making this film, this documentary?
Yeah, so, you know, I think the primary challenge was trying to fit that large of a life into such a short period of time. I mean, we're talking about a documentary that's, you know, just under 2 hours long, and to try to fit that into that was challenging, but also it gave us a wealth of material to go and choose from, to turn around and develop. That was a huge challenge. Definitely at the beginning, his personality was a huge challenge. But that also was some early stage dementia and Alzheimer's, which we talk about in the film, where that would kind of help explain a lot of the anger, a substantial amount of the anger. And then I think it was also trying to choose which parts of his life to illuminate. And that was a hard thing to do as well.
Yeah.
Was really trying to choose the parts of his life to illuminate. And there was sort of one half of it where it's like, well, let's have something in here that people are familiar with, and then the other half, let's have something that nobody's ever heard of and never seen before. Yeah. And bringing those two kind of together would be a eye opener for everybody, for the people who thought they knew him and the ones that didn't know him at all. So it was really those three things.
Yeah, amazing. Please let the audience know, let us know what we could do to help, how we can connect, and where we at with this as far as pushing it. Is it doing great? I know it did wonderful at Tribeca in New York. Now that it's on Showtime, like what can we do to really get involved and do more and supporting this film?
Well, thank you. You can definitely go tune in to Showtime. It premiered on July 4th, but now streaming on demand via your cable provider, whether that's Spectrum, Verizon, or AT&T, or whomever, but also via the Showtime Anytime app, or the Showtime app that you can actually go and watch the film, the one and only Dick Gregory. And you can reach out to us and share some stories from my Instagram feed, which is at Andre L. Gaines. Don't forget the L in the middle, and then also the movie page, which is at the one and only Dick Gregory. And so you can reach out to us there.
And so what else you got coming up? What else you working on? I know some things you're cooking up. Like what else you working on?
I'm always cooking something. Yeah. I mean, there's always irons in the fire. Yeah. There's some I'm really looking at the one of the interesting things about Dick Gregory that a lot of people didn't realize was that he was a futurist. And he had this almost Nostradamus type understanding and knowledge of the future and predicting things that would occur, the diet crisis that we're in, predicting this 40 years prior to it actually coming to pass. And so I think I had an opportunity really with him to tell the story of the past. I'm looking forward to telling the story of the future now. And so that's kind of what I'm working on right now.
Amazing. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. Like I say, definitely a friend to the show. Wonderful work that you're doing. I'm so excited, and I just cannot wait to see what you tackle next. And it's amazing. I thought it was very interesting because I know he was definitely a brilliant figure, a brilliant person. I even listen to a lot of his old tapes now. Even today, I've been doing it, and it's always just fascinating to me on his insight and everything of that magnitude. And of course, I always had a biasness because his wife and everybody started in Chicago, and she worked for the University of Chicago and all this.
Yeah,
always that nostalgic.
The Chicago connection is strong, indeed.
Indeed. Yeah. So I always had like a connection with him. So it was just always amazing. So for you to do this, I'm like, oh my God, I know it wasn't easy. So I was like,
it wasn't at all. No, but it was rewarding though. That's
very much so.
I never expected a project about Dick Gregory to be easy, but it was rewarding, and the response has been just utterly fantastic. So I couldn't have asked for anything.
Would it be on other platforms later on, moving to like Netflix and other distributions later on?
They move it, I believe, to the pay platforms, so like Amazon, where you can purchase it, Hulu. I think it'll be on, although it's not paid, iTunes, that kind of thing. So that's probably in the next like 30 to 60 days.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm so excited. And to the end so much. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Like I said, anytime. Amazing. So please stay put, and we're going to close out. Thank you so much. Andre Gaines, Cinamation Studios. Definitely watch this video, connect with him, see how you can get involved, see how you can get connected and support what he's doing. Thank you so much, Brother Gaines. Till next time.
Thank you.
All right there. Thank you guys so much for watching Hollywood Now. If you have not subscribed, please take this time to subscribe. We are on YouTube, King Solomon Entertainment. We are on Instagram, King_Solomon_ENT_CO_. Facebook, King Solomon Media Group, as well as LinkedIn. Guys, thank you so much. Thank our partners, heartheartforyou.org, Massage Therapy Group, GQ Auto Connect, Dr. Amanda Rosette, Rosette Physical Therapy Group, .org. Thank you guys so much for your partnership. Subscribe, share this video. And thank you guys so much for all your support as we continue to grow across all platforms. We thank you guys so much. Until next time, thank you so much for watching.
Yeah.